We try to take this off of mute. Guys, good afternoon and welcome to TGI Sports Talk's MLB update. Welcome. A few weeks we've been on, we've been traveling. The pitchers and catchers have reported as we have been away. And an exciting time is upon us here in the world of sports as pitchers and catchers are here. Workouts have begun with the Yankees yesterday, the Mets today. Lots of excitement in the air and lots to talk about today. We'll talk about some of the recent news in Major League Baseball. We'll talk about ABS with a couple of tweaks, as much as I dislike it. We'll talk a little bit about the WBC. We'll talk about some of the off-season grades, possibly, and we'll talk about whatever else it is that you guys are interested in chatting about. So in any event, I'm glad to have you guys with us, as always, and off we go. Baseball's here. We hope. Still having some trouble with Facebook from time to time. And quite frankly, guys, I've said this before. We could be moving off Facebook entirely at some point if I can get YouTube optimized. Because I'm just tired of Facebook and social media per se as a whole. So we could be moving to YouTube, and I'll give you guys plenty of opportunity to know that and how to figure out how to be with us more and more. We're not going to be doing that right away because again, we can't just forfeit, 3,000 followers, subscribers here on Facebook and thousands of views for 88. Dozens. So any of that. I welcome everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. I ain't worried about biting the hand that feeds me. No, I'm not. The groups that allow us to share, we certainly thank them, especially our favorites, which you always see scrolling at the bottom of our screen. John Gonzalez from the Sports Authority, Greg Rawlings from the America's Pastime, the Love of Baseball, Flo and Can over at Bottom Line Sports. Let's Talk Sports. Ken Krause over at Golf Bud, Sports of All Sorts. And, of course, a special shout-out to Ralph Williams over at RW Media. Ralph does some great stuff, not the least of which is the MLB that's just the MLB update, the Sports Corner from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday with Smoking Jim Frazier. What have you guys been up to while I've been gone? Been having some fun, I hope? Still trying to adjust my screen a little bit. Made some changes to the studio. We're going to continue to do that as we go along. Just can't get myself comfortable with the look. What do you want to talk about first? Pitchers and catchers. ABS is here to stay, guys. A couple of tweaks that they made today. The 2 challenges per game, but if the games go to extra innings, each team will have 1 per inning. You cannot carry over any of the 2 from the previous 9 innings, however. So that's one tweak. And they made some tweaks too that, with replay, it won't change anything that happens on the field if they overrule a strike or a ball call. I guess it would have to if it was a ball call, it was ball 4. But if there's a stolen base or some such thing, then it wouldn't be. I don't know how they'll do that if it's ball 4 and there's a runner, batter running. Again, subject to a human being. Listen, I don't like all this AI. We know that. I've talked about it, ad nauseum. I know some of you have been very vocal and you're disagreeing with me that, we have to get the calls right at all costs. Listen, I don't necessarily disagree. And the umpires, I'm sorry, and MLB have put themselves in this position, the umpires have, because they haven't done anything to police themselves or enough to police themselves and make sure that this didn't come to fruition. So you live with the consequences, and I've got to live with it, and so does every other fan. So that'll be, we'll start to see that when spring training games start here in a week or so. Full squads will report probably by Monday. And I guess that's all on that. Couple of items in the news. Nick Castellanos released by the Phillies. He was told not to show up to spring training. I don't know how politely, right? But he had a falling out with Rob Thompson. What happened last year was he was upset. He had his family. Sorry about that. This isn't working out the way I want it to here today. I don't know what's going on, but I apologize for my fidgeting around here. He had family in town for a game last summer. He got taken out for defensive purposes. He was upset at Rob Thompson for removing him when he had family in the game. Maybe it's my chair. Oh, that's better. It's got to be painful to watch me sometimes. He had a falling out with Rob Thompson when he took him out of the game for defensive purposes, and he's a horrendous defensive player. It's not like this is the first time that's happened to him. But it embarrassed him. He went to the locker room, got a beer, and came back to the dugout with a beer. Rob Thompson didn't play him the next day. He did play shortly thereafter, but his playing time diminished because he wasn't playing well. And you also totally disobeyed the manager. You know, guys like Castellanos we don't need to have around Major League Baseball or sports in general. How about you just listen to your boss? Whatever happened to that? Kind of a quaint, right? It's kind of a quaint idea, right? Your boss says do something, you just do it without questioning it. Jeez. I always say sports is really like a microcosm of society, and it's absolutely true. So anyway, goodbye, Nick Castellanos. Somebody will sign him, of course, because if they want strikeouts, bad defense, and a few home runs, then they'll get them from him. What else? Justin Verlander, full circle in his career. Future Hall of Famer returns to his roots in Detroit. I think he's getting paid $13 million-ish, so they expect some production. He was horrendous the first half of last year. Pitched much better in the second half, especially near the end of the season. What is this here? Don't know. But he pitched he was like 0-8 with a 6 ERA when the first half of the season, but pitched better. 40-some years old, returns home. It's probably only a matter of time before they sign Max Scherzer up there in Detroit. But listen, they've got the makings of a pretty good pitching staff up there. Scooble's there, getting a record arbitration number. They brought in Framber Valdez this past week. They got to figure out the Scooble thing, though. This franchise is not going to stay afloat for long, competitively speaking. So Detroit, with some good moves, I think. Listen, I think there's been a lot of good teams. We're going to go division by division quickly, and we'll look at some of the moves that teams have made and give them. I'll go off one of the sites, and we'll kind of grade their moves, and certainly take your input as well. And we'll look at some of the remaining free agents. There's not a lot left now, but there's still a few players who have some value to bring that are still out there. What was this? I can't read my writing. Guess that's about the ABS. WBC starts March 5th, runs through the 17th. A lot of people don't like it. It interrupts spring training. Somebody might get hurt. I like international competitions. I like guys who want to go and play for their country, whether it's the U.S. or other countries. Jack and I talked about this morning on the Weekend Playbook. And he had a great point. And I think it's been true up until now that other countries, this is more important to other countries than it is to us. It's becoming more important to the players because the top players are starting to show up. It used to be more important to Japan. It used to be more important to the Latin American countries. But I think the U.S. is tired of getting their, finishing second at best to the Japanese and whomever else. Latin American countries are loaded with stars. We'll take a look at those rosters either today or next week. And it should be important to the fans. It's a long season. It's a long spring training, and this is something that really gives you something important to watch. I hate spring training baseball. Hate it. Fantasy baseball players think they're doing a lot of due diligence. You'll see some guy who's going to tear it up in the spring and go 0 for 15 the beginning of the season. You'll never hear from him again. if you're a fantasy baseball player, and I don't talk about fantasy baseball a lot, I play it. I've really grown tired of it, quite frankly, but I still play it in a couple of leagues. Drew has a league that I play in, and Greg Rawlings has got two leagues that I play in for some cash. Even football, I played in 3 leagues, but it's boring. And the only thing more boring to me than playing fantasy sports is talking about them. So enough of that. Anyway, let's take a quick run through the divisions and see who did well. What the Braves do this offseason. They added Robert Suarez. I think a nice addition to put with Iglesias in that bullpen. I think that's a really good move. They also signed Ha-Sung Kim to a $20 million 1-year deal to help out at shortstop. They still missed Dansby Swanson. Some good moves there. They're going to be without Swellenbach to start the season. Excuse me. Missed out on Chris Bassett, who did go to Baltimore. Baltimore did a great job. The whole American League East, by the way, did a great job. But let's stay here in the NL East for now. The Marlins. Who is this I'm looking at? I don't even know who it is. I think it's this might be FanDuel. I'm not sure. But they give the Marlins A-. I don't know, man. They moved Trevor Rogers to Baltimore during the 2024 deadline for Kyle Stowers. He hit pretty good the remainder of the year. They traded Luzardo to Philadelphia for multiple prospects before the season. So those are things that will help them out. This offseason, they moved Edwin Cabrera, who I think is maybe their best pitcher, and Ryan Weathers. As a Yankee fan, I would rather have had Cabrera, but they do get Ryan Weathers, who will help the Yankees. And they got prospects back like Cassian, Lewis. Cassian will play immediately. This is not a good football or baseball team, so it really doesn't matter in my mind. The Mets, I didn't think the Mets did a horrible job. I'm not sure they did a great job. I think trading Brandon Nimmo was maybe a mistake. He's a reliable, productive player. Fairly consistent. Not a lot of power, but decent power. He's going to show more power in Texas. And they also moved McNeil, as we know, to where did McNeil go to? California? I can't remember now. But they missed out on Kyle Tucker like everybody else, but the Dodgers did. They did sign Bo Bichette, which I think is a better signing than Kyle Tucker, quite frankly. He'll probably, it looks like, play third base. We're going to get Polanco at first base, where he's never played before. We're going to get Marcus Semien at second base, where they hope he has a rejuvenation to his career. What else did they do that I liked? And again, you're guessing. The best move maybe was getting Freddie Peralta, though, from Milwaukee. And I don't know what the Brewers are doing. They also just traded their third baseman, who finished third in the Rookie of the Year voting last year. But good move by the Mets getting Freddie Peralta to offset or enhance what might be a shaky rotation. The Phillies, I don't know. I mean, Nick Castellanos is gone, as we said. They brought in Adolis Garcia, who, he's not a youngster anymore. He's flawed. He strikes out. He has lapses in concentration. Not one of my favorite players in the league, so we'll see how that works out. They are starting Justin Crawford, Carl Crawford's son, in center field this year, so we'll see how that works out, supposedly at least. And they did re-sign JT Realmuto as well, but not a lot of help for that pitching staff. They will get Andrew Painter probably to debut this year in that rotation, but kind of a quiet offseason in Philadelphia. The Nationals, they started a rebuild in the offseason. Seems like they've been rebuilding since they won the World Series in 2019? We've got a new manager. They got a new GM. They traded their reliever with the best stuff in Ferreira. They traded their best starter and Mackenzie Gore off to Texas. All to get like a top catching prospect in Harry Ford and a third baseman from the Rangers and Gavin Fine. I'm not calling this a great offseason for the Nationals. The Cubs, I mean, they lose Kyle Tucker. They lose out on getting Corey Bellinger back, but they do bring in Alex Bregman on a 5-year deal. Some will say it's too long for a man of his advanced years, of baseball years. But he'll replace a lot of what Kyle Tucker produced. I mean, Kyle Tucker is not worth $60 million. Well, he's worth it because he gets paid it. I got to be consistent. You're worth whatever somebody's willing to pay you. Will he return a good investment on that? I'm not so sure. Quiet here today. Where is everybody? What was I going to say? Well, what'd they do? So anyway, Suzuki will be the full-time right fielder. And it frees up Ballesteros, their young slugger, to be the designated hitter now that Suzuki's going to move to the outfield. They did get Cabrera, which I think is a good trade for them. They had a little bit of a log jam, I guess, in the outfield, so they could trade Kiasi, however you want to say his name. I'll say it the incorrect way, probably. They signed a bunch of cheap relievers to address one of their biggest holes. There's no real superstar in this lineup. I mean, Alex Bregman, Pete Crow Armstrong, if he has a follow-up to his rookie season anywhere close to it, we'll find out if he's for real early on, I think, this season. I like the kid, and I think he will produce, and I think he will be a star-type player. But there's no superstar in this Cubs lineup, but it's not a lineup I hate. Eugenio Suarez is returning to Cincinnati, where he had played previously. He had 49 in Seattle and Arizona combined last year. Now he's playing in a bandbox, really. He played there before and hit a bunch of home runs and struck out a lot. He's a decent defensive player. But that's your big move. They tried to go after Kyle Schwarber, as a bunch of teams did, and he returned to Philadelphia, a bit surprisingly. But they do have some young players to keep an eye on. They're not a lot in the free agent or trade market to talk about with the Reds. The Brewers, I'm not sure what they're doing there. They traded Freddie Peralta, who had 1 year left on his deal. They probably decided to get something rather than nothing. They get Jet Williams and Sprout, who actually pitched decently in a few stints with the Mets last year. They look shorthanded in the rotation on paper. But, stranger things have happened, and Milwaukee finds a way to kind of retool and not have to rebuild. So we'll see how they do with these changes, in this offseason. And they also, as I said, recently they just moved. Let's see if I have that move on my chart here. I wanted to find the trade they made. They traded Caleb Durbin, who finished third in the Rookie of the Year voting last year, to the Red Sox, who have very quietly made some interesting moves to see if they can improve that roster. And they get back Kyle Harrison, Dorhan, and Hamilton. Nothing that really excites me there. I think it's a really good trade for the Red Sox and a C trade for the Brewers. So I'm not sure what they're thinking about, but look, they get paid a whole lot more money than I do to make these decisions. So good, God bless them. The St. Louis Cardinals, I think, they're kind of in a full rebuild, I would say. Little surprised they brought Carlos Marmol back again as a manager, but they traded away Contreras, they traded away Arenado, Donovan, Sonny Gray, all getting different levels of prospects in return. No players that are likely to start, although I think Weatherholt may start in the infield in 2026, or at least sometime in 2026. But really a full a full-blown rebuild, I think, in St. Louis, you could call this. Pittsburgh, they're giving them an A-. I'm not so sure. They brought in a lot of guys, but also a lot of journeymen, guys who hit for power, strike out. Ryan O'Hearn's going to play first base, most likely. Ozuna, probably going to be a DH. Who else did they do? They did bring in third baseman Brandon Lowe, which I do like a little bit. But, elsewhere, I don't know, man. They do get Garcia. I can never say this kid's first name. Josh. There's too many vowels and consonants in his name. Garcia to potentially join their outfield. Look at their and to me, after Skeens, Chandler and Keller are okay, but I'm not excited about that rotation. It may not be the worst team in the division, depending on what the Brewers are able to kind of put together here this spring, but it's not the best. And the West, the Diamondbacks, I don't know what they're doing. They bring back they've got Zach Gallen, who's was hurt last year. They couldn't move him at the trade deadline, so they keep him. They bring back Merrill Kelly. They signed Mike Soraka, who's not a world beater by any means. They had Ketel Marte on the trade block, and they didn't move him. This feels like 10 years in a row. He's a great player. And then they find out the other day that Corbin Carroll's got a broken hamate bone and is likely going to miss all spring training and probably opening day. So things are not great in Diamondback world. The Rockies are the Rockies, They did hire Paul DePodesta. He's a longtime MLB exec who spent time recently with the Cleveland Browns the last, 6-7 years. He had run the Blue Jays, I think, before that. And he was Billy Bean's right-hand man in Oakland during the Moneyball years. If you see the movie, the character played by, can't think of the comic actor who played him. He's got a different name in the movie, but it's basically Paul DePodesta. Listen, this is a team that does not have a lot of talent. They're trying to build around their catcher Goodman, who had a decent year last year. Tovar, the shortstop, error-prone outfielder Brenton Doyle, got some talent. This team's going nowhere. Probably aren't breaking a loss record anytime soon, like they look like they might last year. But there are other moves in the offseason, or their moves in the offseason are really to just stop gap and utility additions. Guys like Will Castro, McCarthy, Michael Lorenz. The Dodgers, if you like to spend money, you got to give them an A. I mean, they went out and got the best hitter and the best reliever on the market. Edwin Diaz first. Then they outbid the Mets and the Blue Jays and a bunch of other teams. Kyle Tucker paying him $60 million a year. Tucker's still a decent player, going to give you positive value. Whether it's $60 million in value remains to be seen. But he's there, and his defense has gone down too, by the way. I liked him a lot last year. He liked him for the Yankees before the Cubs got him. But he took some steps backwards in some significant areas last year. We'll see what he gives to the Dodgers. So they're going for a three-peat in LA, and they've got the wherewithal to do it. And is it good for baseball? Listen, I have no problem with teams spending money. So we're a capitalistic society. I'm a capitalist. And free market, you let the market decide what players will get paid. Market says he's a $60 million player. The market says that they can spend $400 million on a roster, then that's what's going to happen. If you're the Rockies and you're the Marlins, figure it out or contract. I would have no problem with teams contracting. Somebody brought that up on the show. It might have been JB maybe a month ago. That the free market, within a free market system, the prices can come down as well. If we have fewer teams, and more better players, then the market's going to go down, not up for those players. So anyway, the Padres did send. I'm not really excited about their offseason either. I mean, the best thing they did was sending Dylan Cease away or they lost Dylan Cease, in free agency to the Blue Jays. Another huge contract. And they were able to retain Michael King, who the Yankees were very interested in bringing back, but they weren't able to make that happen. But basically, they're hoping guys get better with age, I guess. Bogarts and Machado and Fernando Tatis. That's still the heart of their order. And the moves that they did make, not earth-shattering. Giants, kind of the same thing. They brought in Harrison Bader, Tyler Mahle, Adrian Hauser. Those are the highlights, guys. They moved on from Bob Melvin, and they're coaching, or they brought in Tony Vitello, which I'm okay with, from Tennessee. I said from the beginning, I'm okay with that move. I don't know how they're going to even match last year's record of what, 500 was it? Let me see. They finished 500 last year. Okay, 500. I don't really see how they're going to beat that with making no moves of any real consequence. Maybe Tony Vitello's system will boost the talent that they have there, but again, he's learning on the job as well. So remains to be seen what will happen in San Francisco. We move to the American League. And if anybody has any comments, feel free to put them in. Now we get to the American League, which we have a lot more fans of, it seems. Baltimore Orioles. I think they only get a B+ here. I think they did a great job. They recently just signed Chris Bassett, which probably isn't even in this ranking that I had pulled up here, and I'm just using for reference. They did bring in Pete Alonso, Taylor Ward, two veteran sluggers. You're going to get a lot of strikeouts, but you're going to get a lot of home runs out of those guys. I'm not crazy about either one of their defenses. Alonso's a minus a defensive player. I think Taylor Ward is as well. I don't like what they did here at all. They did part with Grayson Rodriguez from that rotation, but they're counting on Shane Baz, who I like a lot if he stays healthy. I like Kyle Bradish at the top of that rotation. Now they bring in Chris Bassett. They're going to go as far as their pitching takes them, because I think the lineup, especially with the kids and Gunnar Henderson and Holiday, will be much better than he was as a rookie, in my opinion. And I think this team will go as far as their pitching. And Alvarez, their new manager, will have his hands full making that happen. That AL East is a tough division, but I think the Orioles got better. I think the Red Sox got better. I think the Blue Jays, got better. Losing Bo Bichette doesn't happen, but we'll talk about that in a second. The Yankees, I think, trail everybody as far as winning the offseason, if you will. Doesn't matter. You win the season is what matters. But the Yankees are running it back, and, the results weren't that great. Getting Cody Bellinger back was huge. But Trent Grisham for $22 or $23 million, I'm not buying it. His defense is not even close to what it's been advertised for over the last bunch of years. Do I expect him to hit 30 home runs again? I do not. They're going to start the season without Rendon and Garrett Cole. So you're going to be looking at Max Fried and Cam Sheetler might miss the regular season. I'm sorry, the beginning of the regular season, not the whole regular season. Volpe is going to miss the start, most likely. A lot of pressure on Volpe, Ben Rice, Wells to continue to improve, and Bellinger to live up to his new contract. But no changes in New York. Baltimore, I see JB just joined us. Hello, JB. Good to have you with us. I was just talking about your Orioles, and I really like what they did. The pitching is like a roll of the dice, and it is with a lot of teams. I like Baz, as I said, a lot. And I think this team goes as far as their pitching. I like what they did to improve the lineup with two suspect defensive players in Alonso and Ward, but they're guys who bring pop to that lineup, and I think are nice additions to Gunnar Henderson and Holiday and Westberg. The pitching they'll go as far as their pitching takes them. And I think everybody in this division has gotten better, other than the Yankees, and getting Bassett, as I said earlier, just a few minutes ago, too, JB, probably before you popped on. But a nice move. He's a professional pitcher. You know, look at this guy's going to go 5 or 6 innings every game. He throws a ton of pitches. But he's a proven quality pitcher. Did well or well enough in Toronto. Pitched well with, who did he pitch with before? He was with the Mets, and who's he before that? The Angels? I think the Angels. I like it a lot. I didn't talk about this when I talked about the Mets, though. Lindor's surgery is going to impact Lindor and Corbin Carroll, both with hand injuries to start the season. They're expecting Lindor to get back. I don't know whether that's going to be case. Jackson Holliday got a hand injury now, too. That's 3 guys. That's 3 big players, because I expect Jackson Holliday, by the way, to break out in a big way, JB. So I really like this Orioles team. I really do. Orioles staff lined up against last year is vastly improved. I agree. Baz needs to stay healthy, right? Well, everybody needs to stay healthy, but he's had some injury issues. So good stuff. Yankees running it back, as I said. You got to hope some guys get better, right? You got to hope Heel stays healthy and throws strikes. You got to hope that Cam Sheedler stays healthy and continues to grow. You got to hope Max Fried stays on. You got to hope Rondon doesn't have to pitch in a big game. and Judge doesn't get hurt. The Rays, another team. I did leave the Rays out of my analysis of the East as far as teams all winning the offseason ahead of the Yankees. But winning the real season is what matters. But I'm not really crazy about what they did, trading away Lowe. They get back Gavin Lux and Jake Fraley. You know, they're Cedric Mullins. You know, these are the kind of guys who the Rays seem to get the most mileage out of. It hasn't worked the last couple of years. This team's been hovering around 500 the last couple of years, and the magic of what they do, their version of Moneyball, if you will, is starting to wear off. The Blue Jays, despite losing Bo Bichette, I think the Blue Jays had a positive offseason. Getting Dylan Cease, who can strike out guys. They don't have a lot of guys who are power pitchers on that staff, and he's a guy who can certainly do that. I like the pickup of getting Yokomoto from Japan. Again, whether he's worth the money is irrelevant, because it's whether he earns it or not. But I like that move for them a lot. And they also added Tyler Rogers, a submarine reliever there, and took a chance on Cody Ponce as well. So we'll see how that works out. To me, they still got to be the favorites to repeat as champions here. That would be my take on the AL East. And once we get, I'm just kind of looking at the offseason in a quick snapshot here, right? We've gone through the National League. And JB, if there's anything, I'm getting into the Central and the West, excuse me, of the American League. And if you have anything to add about what I might have talked about before, you can certainly add your 2 cents, because I'm more than happy to have you add that. AL Central, White Sox, I don't know. Another one with Murakami, signing a Japanese star in Murakami, strikes out a lot, 30% of the time almost in Japan. He's going to strike out more than that probably here. But they've only given him a 2-year deal. He'll get a chance to play every day in a low-pressure environment because there's not a lot of expectations there. And I like what they do. They got some young pitching prospects in Schultz and Smith, and we'll see how that works out for them. Getting rid of Robert is probably addition by subtraction. Change of scenery might help him. I didn't mention him in the Mets analysis, and I missed him. Getting Luis Robert, I think, for the Mets, kind of low risk in my mind. I think they'd been better off with Brandon Nimmo, but that's just me. The Guardians, I'm not sure what they did. They've still got the gambling scandal hanging over them with the two pitchers from last year who will not be with them. But they're, again, basically betting big that their young players perform, and there's no real veterans to backstop any of them right now. So they're going to be counting on the likes of De La Tour and second base, the outfielder, and second baseman Bazana to take big steps forward. You count on young players, and the Orioles felt that last year where, Gunnar Henderson had a little bit of a down season. Not worried about it. I think he's going to be he's a fine player, and I think he will really maybe break through this year. And I think Holiday is going to be a great player too once he gets now healthy again. But you see what happens when you rely too much on young players, and they went out and signed a couple of veterans to supplement that. The Tigers refusing to extend Skubal will probably come back to bite them at some place. He makes out okay because he gets the highest arbitration number ever awarded. And they also bring in Framber Valdez. So Skubal's got to be wondering, what about me? Where's mine? They bring back the Lander. Maybe it's only time for they bring back Scherzer so they can reunite the 2004 Tigers. Went to the World Series, 4 or 7. Not bad moves. I mean, they re-signed Kyle Finnegan. They added Kenley Jansen. That'll help a little bit. I'm not crazy about either one of those guys, quite frankly, in the late innings, but we'll see how that works out. They hope Reese Olson will be back from his shoulder situations. They got Casey Mize coming back from an injury. So if the starting rotation plays well there, Tigers should be okay. I mean, a bad finish to the season for them for sure. We got here Big Brother BLK. Shout out to everyone in the chat, including TGI Sports Talk. Thank you, my friend. Keep up the good work on the channel. Appreciate it. And shout out from the South Bronx, Brother BKL Contreras, a.k.a. Sport Entertainment Guy. Good to have you with us. Happy. And if you want to promote your stuff, Brother BLK, you feel free to do it, because that's what we want here is cross-promotion. We like to do it. I'm happy to share your shows if you want to prompt me when they're shareable, and I'll be happy to do that. And happy to share mine as well if you want to do that. That's all up to you, and we welcome you to the show. Good to have you with us. You can certainly give us some times and stuff. We'll be happy to put it up in the chat. If you notice, I got coffee in one hand today and Powerade in the other. So it's been that kind of day. I got to caffeinate myself and hydrate myself all at the same time. Love having you guys with me, though. We got another 20 minutes or so to go. Let's finish up. Kansas City. Kansas City doesn't do bad for being a team that won't spend money. Again, when we get talking about salary caps, and we're going to talk a lot about it in the next year, because there's going to be a lockout next spring. Get ready for it. I've said if there's any work stoppage as far as regular season games and we lose regular season games, I'm out. We'll see whether I can stand true to my word. It's going to be hard. But these teams need to spend money. If you want salary caps, you better damn well have a freaking salary bottom. It's JB. I think you're the guy who brought up, I talk about being a free market guy, right? I'm okay. I don't necessarily want a cap. If teams have the money and the market says a guy's worth $60 million, like Kyle Tucker, God bless him. Let him go try and earn it. But the market should dictate what you make. Nobody else. And if teams fold, and JB brought this up in that conversation. Again, I think it was JB. If it wasn't you, then I apologize for whoever it was. But it's a very, very smart take of what I was saying. Because it did kind of, I was going down the right road, but I kind of had veered off a little bit, and I got right back on the path with those comments. And I want to give credit where credit's due, and I do believe it was JB that pointed that out. The market will drive the price. You don't have to collude. the prices will come down if there were less teams, less jobs, which, by the way, the Players Association will never go for. So we're heading for a lockout, and then God knows what. Anyway, what was I talking about? The Royals, they did extend Michael Garcia, 5-year extension. Nice player, by the way. They added Lane Thomas, Isaac Collins. I think those are competent outfielders to help them. Stars? No. They're going to help the Kansas City Royals? Don't know. Good role players, good complementary players on a good team. I don't know if this is a good team just yet. Really not sure. What's Brother BLK got here? He's, between Kansas City, got quite not so bad, but after all, I think we got another. I'm laughing at you, Brother BLK. I was going to call you BLK, but I think that has other connotations, doesn't it? If I'm going back in my serial killer history, maybe I'm wrong. I might have the. I'm not good with acronyms, but Brother BLK or BKL. Jesus, good God, man, we're having that kind of day. Now you know why I still got the coffee out. Might be talking into a phone. Danny Fuller does this to me all the time, and then I got to decipher it. So I think we're saying between those salary cap, it's really not too much, but they need to clear is so much. I think we're talking about they need to make money, and that's why they have to have a self-imposed salary cap, right? If I'm wrong with that, you tell me. Minnesota Twins, even worse, by the way. This team, they brought in Josh Bell, a catcher, Caratini. Is this getting anybody excited yet? Eric Wagaman? Bueller? Remember this? They got Joe Ryan still. They've got Pablo Lopez. They've got Brian Buxton. They've got Royce Lewis. All good players who likely won't be part of this team. At least half those guys will be gone by the trade deadline. You can mark my words. They're hurtling towards a rebuild in Minnesota. AOS, the A's, the A's are like, I've heard a bunch of people in this offseason saying the A's are going to be, what do you got here? Brother BKL. Who is this? You're saying I should know who this is? Okay, that name really sounds familiar. Oh, BL. I think it was BLK. Now I got to find out. No, Bound. He was. You're not gonna like what I have to say next. BT Bound. Oh, I don't remember what else he did. I can't remember. BTK. There he is. I found him. Dennis Rader. What do they call him? BTK. We're not even close. You're way off. You're good. You're a whole letter off. Brother, you got it. The last words I have to mangle in my mouth of marbles. I love you, brother. Thanks for coming in today. I'm glad you spoke up, and feel free, all the shows. Don't forget, guys, we've got a ton of shows. We're going to have new openings. New openings for each show. Chris F. Grave, who's not with us here today, he's up in Canada. He's got a great voice for radio. I don't know about the rest of them, but we're going to do new intros for this show, the MLB Update. Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook, which is on Mondays at 8 a.m. Eastern and Fridays at 8 a.m. Eastern. And the College Sports Huddle on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. And the Sunday Stream of Consciousness. You got to show up for that one, brother BKL. All I got to do is read the screen, and I can read your name. That's our flagship show, the Sunday Stream of Consciousness. We have a lot of fun, 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern on Sundays. We have a lot of fun because we're all over the board. If you think this show's convoluted, wait till you get to that one. Oh, no, I just lost my Let's see if I can recreate what I just had. I don't know if I can find it or not. Yeah, there it is, a ringer. All right, where was I? I was on the Royals, or was I gone from them? Oh, I was down to the A's. The A's are everybody's like little darling this year. I don't know why. I mean, there's a couple of decent players there. Jacob Williams, they extended him. They extended Soderstrom to team-friendly contracts. Very smart. More players probably ought to get to this. Yes, thank you. Nick Kurtz, obviously, a very good player. Brett Rooker's a very good player. But who's going to pitch? Who's going to pitch? You traded your best reliever last year. Luis Severino is your number one starter until I see differently. You know, this team is not going to finish last, maybe. I think the Angels will finish last. But they need some help. The Astros also didn't do themselves. They're betting on Amaya from Japan to replace Valdez, I guess. Again, that's a big gamble. Remember, Valdez has been one of the best pitchers in baseball for the last 4 or 5 years. But I don't know where again, another place I don't see where the arms are. And they didn't bring in a lot of reinforcements anywhere on that team to make it better. The Angels are just the Angels. I mean, they do get addition by subtraction with Rendon deciding, since he didn't like baseball, maybe I'll retire. I'll take my money and retire. See ya. And I thought hiring Kurt Suzuki, a rookie manager to a 1-year contract. Can you tie a guy's hands any more than what they've done to poor Kurt Suzuki, who's a really good baseball man? He's a lifer, was a good player, and has been a coach around the league. But your big additions are Kirby Yates, Jordan Romano, and Drew Pomeranz? Really? And reclamation projects like Grayson Rodriguez from the Orioles, aforementioned Orioles, and Manoah? Welcome to the unemployment line, Kurt Suzuki. 1-year deal? The Mariners, listen to me. The Mariners, to me, have to be the favorites to repeat in the American League. Pitching staff is still all intact. They re-signed Josh Naylor. They didn't re-sign Suarez, which I'm okay with, quite frankly. I'm not a big fan of him anyway. He'll probably play Brendan Donovan there quite a bit. He may play around the diamond, but I think that pitching staff, if they show the same sort of offense that they showed last year, and they're not going to, Cal Raleigh's not going to repeat last year, but I expect him to have a good year. I mean, there's no way he's going to replicate that season. But they've still got the best pitching staff in this side of the Dodgers. And I said they were better than the Dodgers, and I shut my mouth after the World Series. I'm sorry, after the World Series. And the Dodgers pitching was just amazing. Texas Rangers. Listen, I'm hard on the Rangers. Alan's not with us. Alan Perales, who's a big Ranger fan, but I've been hard on the Rangers through the years. I don't like some of the moves they made. I didn't like the long-term deal that they gave. Jesus, good grief, the Mets ex-pitcher, whose name is escaping me at the moment. This is what happens when you turn 65. But I like the Brandon Nemo trade. It'll come to me in a second. They may have moved on from Marcus Semien a year too early, but better a year too early than a year too late. I think Brandon Nemo is going to show some a little bit more pop down there in Texas than he showed in New York. And I think they needed some help in that outfield. But getting Mackenzie Gore from Washington, I think, was a steal. They get a positive a number 2, maybe even a number 1 starter for not a ton in return. I like what they've done down there in Texas. We'll see how their new management can hold up to that as well. They need to move and get a reliever if you're the Texas Rangers fan. Yeah, the starting pitch. Listen, Gore's a really good pitcher, and I like getting Gore. I'm not so sure about that. Really, everybody's, it seems, except for a couple of teams, everybody's got suspect bullpens. Bullpens in Major League Baseball feel like offensive lines in the NFL. Even if you're really good at the back end, you might have holes somewhere in the middle. And if you have injuries, you're not very deep because the money's getting spent elsewhere. Middle relievers and sentiment, we don't have money to pay because we give the relievers all this money. We give the starters who pitch the least important part of the game, we give them all the money because, I find it hilarious. And I'm not saying we shouldn't pay starters money. We should let them pitch for that money is what I'm saying. Let's get back to the days where starters finish what they started every now and again. But we're expecting middle relievers to come in and pitch high leverage innings, but we don't want to pay anybody anything. So where are you going to get quality? So it's very tough. I mean, who's out there? There's still any, are there any free agents of note out there? Christian Vasquez, catcher. Not that great. Mitch Garver. Nathaniel Lowe still out there among the first basemen. Justin Turner. Ty France. Again, these are all middling players. Jose Iglesias and second baseman still out there. Adam Frazier, nothing really. Kevin Biggio. Remember Kevin Biggio and Bichette were going to be the next big things, 2 second-generation players, and never really worked out. Shortstops, no real shortstops out there. Tim Anderson, how the mighty have fallen, still has no job. Third basemen are gone. You got Jesse Winkler, Michael Conforto, Michael Canha, Tommy Pham in the outfield, Verdugo, Margot, Max Kepler, who's been suspended. Starling Marte out there still amongst some former very good players. Randall Grinchuk, who I know the Yankees were interested in at one point for a right-handed bat at some point. Didn't happen. Andrew McCutchen. I know he wants to finish his career in Pittsburgh with some of the additions they've made. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. Pitching-wise, Zach Gallen still out there, has not signed with anybody. Patrick Corbin, again, who's the latest example of when you're raising young children, teach them to throw left-handed because you don't have to be any good and you can pitch for a long time and make a lot of money in Major League Baseball. Nestor Cortez is still out there as a free agent. Talk of the Yankees maybe bringing him back for the middle innings. We'll see. Giolito, Tyler Anderson, John Gray, Frankie Montas. Not much quality here. Marcus Stroman, Max Scherzer will sign somewhere. Alex Cobb. Guys are all pretty long in the tooth. Walker Buehler, who was really a great prospect a few years ago, still out there as well. What else, guys? Again, pitchers and catchers are there. Workouts have started. We got the WBC coming up here in just a couple of weeks, 3 weeks maybe. On March 5th, we got a really good. Listen, I love these. I love what the U.S. has done here. Let's take a quick look at. I want to take a quick look at the U.S. roster since the last time we chatted. So behind the plate, you've got Cal Raleigh and Will Smith, only 2 of the best catchers of baseball. That's why I say we're taking this more seriously. And maybe the fans don't care as much. I do. Jack feels the fans don't care the way they feel in Japan and when they feel in Latin America. I think the players are starting to care, which will make the fans care. In the infield, you got Bregman. You've got Harper, Gunnar Henderson, who I mentioned, Bobby Witt, Bryce Terang. That's a pretty good infield right there. And you got Goldschmidt, Clement on the bench. The outfielders, Buxton, if he can stay healthy. Corbin Carroll will not be there now. That's a big loss. Pete Crow Armstrong and Aaron Judge. Kyle Schwarber's there as a DH. The starting pitchers that you have there, Clay Holmes, Skubal, Whitlock, Webb, Skeens, Kershaw. Good swan song for him. Joe Ryan, Michael Wacha, and some others. You got some really good relievers. Bednar, Mason Miller. Who else? That's a pretty good staff, man. And the coaching staff, really good. I like Mark DeRosa. I'm shocked he didn't get the Atlanta job, by the way. But he's got Michael Young as his bench coach. Freddie Gonzalez is there. Brian McCann is there. Sean Casey's the hitting coach. Matt Hollanday's the hitting coach. Andy Pettit is the pitching coach. George Lombard at first base. Dino Abel at third base. And David Ross, the bullpen coach. Got a really good staff there, too. I'm excited. Excited for the WBC. We'll be talking about that probably more than you guys want to. Early BKL says they got the perfect signing. I think I like, but I'm not sure those players if they get injured a lot. Everybody's, at injury risk these days. Who's your team, by the way? Brother BKL, who is your team? Are you a Rangers fan? Good to have you with us in any event. What's upcoming? No vacations planned now. I'll be away in May for a wedding. Will affect this show. We should be on every Friday now for the next several months. We could miss one with unforeseen circumstances or whatever, but we'll be back regularly on Friday afternoons now at 3:00. Vacations are in the bed until long vacations are in bed till July when we're going to Alaska. This last trip, the last 2 weeks was just fabulous. Sorry we couldn't do all the shows, but I did do the Sunday Stream of Consciousness for you guys, and we had a lot of fun doing that from the ship as always. Right from my balcony. It was a great view of the ocean and the top of my head. Can't beat that, can you? What else are we going to do? Did I have anything else I wanted to bring up today? We talked about Verlander. We talked about Castellanos. No, you can't drink beer in the freaking dugout. Plus, when you can't play. ABS is official. Couple of tweaks to it. Not happy about it, but what are you going to do? Oh, Bronx. What am I talking about? Jesus Christ. Hit me over the head there, BKL. Look up, by the way, I'm going to give you this history assignment. I want you to look up BTK, and I'm hoping your real name isn't Dennis Rader, because I feel bad if I've been, having some fun with you. Oh, my God, I'm so bad. Going right to hell. Oh, I had a lot of fun today, though. I'm glad to be back. We'll be talking a lot of baseball. We're getting back into it. We'll be breaking down the season, as the weeks go by. We'll see how the ABS system's working out. And maybe, listen, when it comes to that, we know I'm against all this AI. I hate it. There's too much replay. It's been bastardized beyond belief. We put in rules to fix things that all we have to do is play the game the way it's supposed to be played and umpire the way it's supposed to be umpired. We wouldn't need pitch clocks and bigger bases and all this other nonsense that just changes the total dynamic of the game. But if the umpires weren't going to police themselves and make themselves better, I don't have an argument that balls and strikes have to be accurate or more accurate. Human error is part of the game. If human error on players can be part of the game, human error on umpires can be part of the game as well, but it can't be as atrocious as it's been the last few years with balls and strikes. It just can't be. But they will find a way to bastardize this rule. You mark my words. Jot that down that I said that at 4:01 on 2/13, Friday the 13th. We've made it through the day. Knock wood. And we're still here. So all you guys out there who are superstitious, just hopefully things won't get too out of hand. But you guys have it. Oh, we got one more comment here. We'll get out of here. Brother, still worried about these rosters. If they don't get called up from another team when the WBC, get rid of a lot and don't participate. Yeah, but they're not going to get rid of anybody. Hold on. I'm just trying to decipher what you're writing here. I'm so worried about those rosters if they don't get called up from another team when the WBC, get rid of a lot and don't participate. They'll go. If you have, you see it with, look at the dream team, or I shouldn't say it's a dream team anymore, but the basketball teams that we send to the Olympics, guys have to be willing to give up minutes. If there's guys better than you, the object is to win, not give guys an ability to play. Some of those guys I mentioned aren't going to play a lot, right? Should Clement be upset if he doesn't play a lot? No. They got a ton of pitchers. Some of them aren't going to pitch much. And they're going to need to kind of get workouts in the meantime because they are missing 2 weeks of spring training. It's not perfect because of the timing we got to play it, but there's no other time to play this tournament. It's every 4 years. And I love it. And, you know, BKL, you can not like it. I mean, there's a lot of people who don't like it. Met fans didn't like it when Edwin Diaz got hurt. But if you're going to get hurt, you're going to get hurt. He might have just got hurt in spring training. You know, so I don't know. I like international competitions. I don't see another time frame during a season that you can play this. You can't play it in November. I guess you could in warm weather cities and whatnot, but you know, it's a long season. You're getting the best. You're not going to get the best out of them in the preseason. You're not going to get the best out of them in November. Can't stop the season for 2 weeks every 4 years like the NHL does for the Olympics, or has picked up doing again. So I'm just a fan of international competitions. I like guys who will go and play for their flag. And then keep your mouth shut afterwards, by the way, once you win something. Just go there and play and talk baseball. Right? In any event, guys, we had a fun show today. BLK, I'm glad you joined us. Yeah. There's some other guys. Well, we lost Carroll. They lost Lindor. I don't think Jackson Holiday was on the team. But they're going to have to replace a couple of guys. You know, it's going to be fun. Those Latin American countries are really, really good, by the way. We're never going to be the favorite to win this. It's always going to be Japan, and these Japan's always going to be up there. And the Latin American countries really have dominated this competition in my mind. Maybe not dominated, but they've been the most consistent performers. I want to see the U.S. win one of these. Let's do it. Get her done. Thanks for tuning in today, BLK. We're going to get out of here. Been a lot of fun as always. Thank you all for participating. Thank you all for who watch this later. Like and share the show. BLK, let's do one thing. Invite all your friends. Put your friend list. And invite. Sorry, go to the my page, the TGI page. Same in from you're in from YouTube. Invite all your friends. I agree with you 100%. Guys, have a great weekend. We'll see you Sunday with the Stream of Consciousness. Have a great weekend. See you, buddy. Have a great weekend. Please, share your stuff with me. I'll be happy to do it. Let me know, though, so I can make sure I share it to the page. See you later, buddy. Bye-bye.